Hi Rick, thanks so much for your time today. I guess you're having lots of fun out there. There's all these gamers and lots of games, which I'm not very good at, but I love those cups that are flashing that we were talking over. So you were telling me you've got a business that you're launching in beta just right now, is that correct?
Yes, the company CyberHoldings Incorporated. We started the company about 2.5 years ago, and the primary purpose of the business was to launch Warzone Secure, which is a PC-based platform for first-person shooter video matches.
Mm-hmm.
My background is really not in this industry. I'm actually from the biotechnology industry, so I guess you're combining drugs and games. So there's probably some combination there. And I really wasn't interested. It was the son-in-law of a guy that I've done business with.
Oh.
And he asked me to take a look at the demographics, because I assumed, I think a lot of people from my world, that most video game enthusiasts or young boys spend Friday nights playing the games.
Yeah.
Looked into the demographics of the first-person shooters, and that's what sold me. 53% are men, 47% are women.
Wow.
Average age is about 30, median income is about 50,000. And to me, having started several businesses, that's the basis of a business.
Mm.
So as we were moving the tournament site along, it occurred to me that maybe there was something else we could do, and that's where we created what's known as Warzone Girls. It's an online graphic novel series or comic book. It comes out quarterly. It's a comic book series that has a first-person shooter feel to it, but I wanted to create all-female protagonists, but not in the traditional exploitative sort of manner. They just happen to be female mercenaries. Nothing exploitive about them at all, but
I'm
just
sure I could identify. Sorry.
they're just very, very intensely cool women.
Wow.
So we've been having a lot of fun with that, and actually it's branched off as its own separate business.
Wow, that's incredible. That is just like amazing. And do you see like a lot of profitability in that?
Well, you know, it's funny you say that, because for right now, the comic book series is for free. Anybody that goes to the website can download it. But we're trying to get a little bit more creative. We actually had a theme song contest and just picked the winner, and we'll announce the theme song probably about a week or two. We've also been approached by a group that wants to create a mobile app based upon the Warzone Girls to create a game for the phones. And one of the people on our board of directors is actually from the Hollywood group, has produced some television shows and movies. And he's interested in seeing if he can eventually pitch this to maybe create a television series, a movie,
Wow.
I don't know. So what started off with a single number, 47, the demographic, has sort of spawned into this sort of sub-business that who knows where it will go.
Tell me, so you obviously looked at this with a cold hard eye and they've done a bit of research. What do you think this game appeals to in women? Like what's the core piece that you've identified?
On the first-person shooter side, I think it's the fact that when you play these games, you are anonymous, because the character is portrayed on screen. And I think there's probably something to the fact that you can be just as good as a guy, but not be identified based upon your sex. And so I think it's just something where if you're very good, women tend to be a little bit better at hand-eye coordination than men.
Oh.
And there's probably just some appeal to the whole milieu, the anonymity, the competition, all the things that you would expect. It's just that women happen to be very good at these games.
And tell me, do you know what age group these women are that are using your product?
Well, the demographics suggest that the average age is about 30. So,
oh my God.
For both men and women. And that's the thing. I mean, again, it doesn't fit the stereotype of what most people feel.
Yeah.
That's why the company focused on just first-person shooters as opposed to other types of games.
Right.
They are a very dedicated, enthusiastic, very loyal type of player. And when they like a game, they play that game a lot.
Right. And how do you think this is going to, like you're talking about it spawning off into movies and other things, because obviously it's got some sort of incredible magnetism about it for women. What do you think is the, psychologically for us women, is it that sort of freedom to do stuff that our culture sort of somehow colludes with binding us not to do it, and so we have to be either radical like me or a little bit different to be able to break through those molds? What's your idea? This is my pseudo-psychology spewing forth here.
Well, I have 2 daughters and a son, so the only thing I can suggest, maybe, and I don't know how right or wrong I am, but barriers are breaking down clearly between men and women,
Of course.
starting with politics all the way to sports.
And even in the venture industry.
And in the venture industry in particular. I think, though, what's interesting, though, and many of the female executives at some of the video game developing companies, they're starting to question why there aren't more first-person shooter video games with more female protagonists. Because they're the developers, they're executives, they know these demographics certainly better than I do. That hasn't yet happened, but the players are enjoying it. And it's probably just the natural progression. I mean, when you start to see women playing football, traditional men's sports, there's really no other barriers to break down. Video games, really, when you think about it, they don't require any special skill based upon sex. And as I said, women tend to have a little bit better hand-eye coordination. So it's probably a combination of all those factors. Plus, they're a lot of fun.
Fascinating, fascinating. I'm also really interested in how you, being in biotech, I know you said you're a serial entrepreneur, how you got drawn into this. There must have been some karmic path that you followed, you know, even though it seems like accidents happened. Tell me.
Well, it's probably primarily an accident, but the reason I went into biotechnology is because it's just filled with incredibly creative people.
And very innovative stuff.
Very innovative.
Yeah.
This appealed to me on that level because there's really no boundaries. Again, there's really not a connection between video games and comic books, but there doesn't have to be. This is an entertainment-based industry where there are no rules. And so that was very appealing to me. I love to be surrounded by creative people because it makes me feel more creative.
Yeah.
And we have a great team that's developing the platform for the tournaments. And then the group that's doing the comic book, they just have a lot of fun with it. They get the vision, they understand it. All of the characters come from different cultures. So we're really trying to create something that's just not out there. It's slowly gaining a following. The fact that we issue these things for free on a quarterly basis certainly makes it easy. But again, you know, we have to kind of massage it along as anything else in the beginning. But I think, you know, we're starting, as I say, getting a little bit of a following on the comic books.
And you obviously have relied on investment if you're doing a lot of these freebies to keep the business going. Where are you as far as venture rounds?
Well, that's the most creative part of this process. Having started several companies and been involved in starting them, the one thing that with biotechnology, you have to raise so much money just to open the door.
Yeah.
We've actually had 2 rounds of financing, which have been relatively small. That's the best thing about my team. They are dedicated to the notion that we only raise what we need.
Great.
So we've done the 2 raises. Yeah, it is, you know, it's not expensive, but the other part is the people involved with the comic book, like the people involved with the platform site, are all interested in the equity. They want the upside, not the short term. So the vision is also being articulated not only in what they do, but in how we run the entire company.
Sounds like really fascinating people and great group to work with, correct?
Yeah. Absolutely great people to work with. And as I said, we just, we're coming out with our 3rd issue of the comic book series in a couple of weeks. The theme song will come out. So it's just different. People don't do things like this because they tend to follow a formula. Since I don't come from this industry, there's no formula for me to follow. We just do what makes sense, and that's what makes it fun.
That's sort of what happened to me when I came here. I just did what I thought, and I wasn't like from Stanford or Berkeley or whatever, and it still worked. You're right. Yeah, sometimes it helps to be an outsider. Look, lovely to speak to you, and fascinating story, and fabulous product by the sounds of it. I really wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.